Good morning, folks. Folk. Maybe one folk, maybe two, maybe three, maybe more. Folk or folks, how are you? We're having a good day. So we got a beautiful morning here. Yeah, every morning is beautiful. But it's winter, December 5th or 6th. Kind of a typical sort of gray, dark morning for winter, right? So we got a little bit of light there up on the horizon, but anyway, we're inside working on, well, we're using the computer right now because the generator's going. So unless you have a substantial solar system set up, and you live off grid, then you're going to be running a generator, quite a bit. Depends how much stuff you have to run, right? So, and depends on the size of your battery bank, solar setup, whatever, how much can you run off of that? So our solar system is really small, so obviously I would like to have a more substantial solar system, but I just don't have the financial means, right? There's just other stuff. We'll get there eventually. So one day, hopefully, when I have the means, I absolutely would love to run the generator less and just run off of stored energy and batteries, right? So that would be ideal. Anyone that kind of lives off grid, if you use power, ideally you want to be running power out of a battery bank, because burning fuel in a generator to get your power is not the cheapest, most efficient way to go about it. So when you live off grid, that's a good solar setup is ideally what you want if you need to run stuff. So, and obviously the more stuff you run, the more power you need. So if you're running a generator, it almost sounds like it's running out of gas right now too. See, I could have sworn I topped it off yesterday too. So, forgot where I was there. But anyway, yeah. The more stuff you want to run, it is. Damn it. Yeah, so generator, just see. So, yeah. That's usually I catch it quicker and seldomly let the generator run out. So that's just an example of what you gotta deal with off grid, right? There's just, everything takes longer. There's more steps that you gotta constantly think about, like keeping the generator topped up so you don't run out of gas, in the middle of doing something or whatever, right? And I was just working on a resume. Hopefully it was saved. So, because the computer just completely shut right down. So anyway, that's the start to our day here. So, I guess we're going to go top up that generator and get the power going again, because I got to work on that resume. So because I need income coming in for winter. So I've just recently, in basically the last year, started my tree care business back up. I used to run a business, for a number of years, and I started back up in the early 2000s. So anyway, where we live, it's really seasonal here. 6 months a year of winter. So last year was a long, slow winter financially. Got behind, on stuff. And this year, when it finally came around to sort of the, tree season or the on season, it was a total dud because of our geography. Like where I live is, the economy is not great here at the best of times. So now you tack on this past year with the recession, which has already been going on here at least all year. At least. So I see occasionally, I don't watch much news really or anything because we don't have TV, and I'm not on the computer often. If I am, I watch YouTube is about kind of all I do on there. So I don't see a lot of news or whatever, but I see little snippets here and there saying, whatever bank or this big shot CEO is talking about we might be going into a recession. I'm like, might be? Like, we've already been in a flipping recession all year. Interest rates through the roof. So when I hear that crap, I'm like, for frig's sake. So it hasn't even started everywhere else, right? So that's the thing about where I live, Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's like, say like economic struggles and recessions, we're always the first one to get it and the last one to, say, get rid of it or get by it. So we get friggin' double whammied here with that crap. So anyway, just kind of rambling on here. And so as you see, we still got lights. So obviously these lights run off of our solar. So we just got a 12 volt system in here. So it runs all of our lights. We got a bunch of lighting in here. So we're never just completely in the dark. So yeah, lights. We got a ceiling fan up in the loft there that runs 12 volt. I mean, we've got these, the typical 12 volt charger there. I don't know if you can see it. So for, plugging in your phones. The 12 volt, plugins. So we charge our phones and, stuff like that in there. And our fridge. So we got this, it's a unique, and I can't remember the cubic feet of it. I think it's about 9 or 10 or something like that. It's smaller. Obviously, you can see that it's smaller, shorter fridge, but it's actually got quite a bit of room in it. I would say this fridge has more room in it, and for sure the freezer does, than we originally had a propane fridge in this place when we first moved into here, which used to be over here. And that thing was so bulky. If you're familiar with propane fridges, They work well, but they're pretty bulky, and they go through a lot of propane as well. So that thing was about $60 a month in propane to run, whereas that solar fridge is free. So that's why I'm saying, like, you don't want to have to burn fuel if you're living off grid. Stored energy is, if you need to use energy, that's what you want to be running. You want to be running stored energy from batteries. Absolutely. So anyway, let's get this generator topped up so we can get the power back on. Yeah, I don't like running things down and out of gas, eh? Like, but it is. Speaking of gas, so here's our generator. We've been running this one for a year now. Our Honda, that's been sitting since last winter. The electrical went in it, and I still haven't got it fixed because I haven't had the money this year because it was such a crappy business year. I didn't have the money to get that fixed, but that's our number one. It's a Honda, and it's about a 10,000 watt Honda generator. The engine, fortunately, is still awesome on it. Like I was saying, it's just the electrical. So, and I can't get any person to work on that. When it comes to electrical, they've got to be like certified to fix that. I've talked to numerous people about it, and they said, yeah, I'm not able to fix that. So, so this is what we've been using the last year, and we're already we're pushing almost 1,000 hours on this. And yeah, literally, like I said, like I went and picked this thing up. It was last December. I think it was before Christmas. So not around this time. And it's kind of just a cheapie. I don't know if you're familiar with the Champion version of power equipment, but it's pretty good. It's kind of like a budget brand, but their stuff is pretty decent. I've got one of their log splitters. They deal this brand out of Canadian Tire, which is a pretty big store here in Canada, if you're familiar with it. Obviously, if you're in Canada, you're familiar with it. But so price point, pretty good. This thing is nowhere near as good as the Honda, but really, so far, and I want to knock on wood, like we're almost at it. Like I said, almost at 1,000 hours on this. It runs every day, especially more so in the winter when our light hours are down and our batteries don't get as much charge. We need to run this a bit more to top up the batteries, stuff like that, right? So yeah, I can't really complain about this thing at all. I'm not actually complaining about it at all. It's had no issues so far. And like I said, it's almost at like 1,000 hours on it. So it's definitely heavily used, and it's all I do is top up the gas and I occasionally top up the oil, and that's it. And I'm pretty sure I'm on my last tank of gas right here. So, there's another thing. Now, I'm going to have to go today, take all of our jerry cans and go get those filled up. So, like I was talking about, the freedom of living off grid is nice, but it's different, and there's there's more stuff you got to do, right? There's always kind of more tasks. You're never really done for the day, if I can kind of put it that way. Like, there's always something to check or do, right? Whereas if you're on grid and you're living in town or whatever, you just kind of go home and the heat's already on, and you know, flip a switch and this is running and that's running, and you don't really have anything to do, so you just kind of sit on the couch and watch TV, right? I know I've lived that life for most of my life, right? Not that I've ever been really a big TV watcher. I haven't at all. It's never really been my thing, but YouTube, yes, absolutely. I watch a lot of YouTube, so. But to me, like, that stuff, you're learning a lot more. It's more of a learning, I look at it more of like a learning platform for YouTube, right? Whereas I look at like TV and that is almost kind of just seems like a waste of time to me. You know, unless it's some sort of show that you're actually learning something from, but documentary, you know, biography, whatever, but yeah. So this generator here, it pretty much takes about what is this one? Yeah, it takes about a 20-liter jerry can to fill. And depending how much we're running it, like, let's say winter, this is typically gonna last us like a couple days. All right, so power's back on. So typically when power is running, like, there's not much laundry to do, but we'd be utilizing it. So we put a load of laundry in. That's always on the list, right? If you're familiar with this, that little power source there, the Jackery. Those things are awesome. We use that every day. That thing's been going strong for about 3 years now. I think we've had that. It's the 500 watt. So we'll plug that in too to top up the energy in that. Yeah, let's see if my resume saved. It should. I typically, when I'm working on something, I sort of obsessively hit save all the time. So yeah, it sucks having to, I wish I could just have my business going, you know, year round and, you know, financially make it, but it's a hard go here. Like, people don't have much money, like I was saying, and such a long winter and people put stuff off here so much. So it's come to the point where, and I already knew this before getting back into business here again. When I first moved out here in 2009, it was the same. I already went through this. So sometimes I kick myself saying like, why did you even bother going back into business? Like, because I already been there. I already went through this and ended up selling my stuff off. I was like, forget it. Like, it's just not worth it, right? You get nickeled and dimed all, like, so much. So many of the jobs you do, you're nickeled and dimed, and it's so hard to make a go of a business, right? Anyone that knows, if you run a business, it's not cheap. There's so many expenses, different expenses, and so I already knew that. I already had that struggle, like, 15 years ago when I first moved out here. And I tried keeping the business going for a couple of years, and then I just, said, like, you know what, I think it's time to move on to something else, try something else. So let's see if this saved. Anyway, I just want to look at that. I'm not actually going to work on it right now, of course, but okay, so good. The resume saved. Folks, I'm gonna cut the video off there and just cut it into two parts. I had it as one video originally, but I had some trouble uploading it and that, and so figured I'd just kind of chop a bit off of it, and then just put the other part as a part 2. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on for this video. So if you check this one out, thanks for checking it out. Hope there was some information in there useful for you. And, if you want to check the next part of it out, hopefully there should be. Basically just covering general introductory, just sort of a general, trying to give a general sense of off-grid living. Kind of going over day-to-day stuff that you deal with. So so it's probably geared more to, maybe someone that's not living off grid and, considering it, something like that. Someone that's already living off grid probably, has already been through this stuff and kind of considered, much of kind of what I'm covering in this video. So, anyway, thanks for checking the video if you did. And like I said, if you want to check the next part there's a part 2 to this one. And it's just a new one I'm trying to start up. And it's just general sort of introductory off-grid living. And again, sort of geared towards individuals that might be not living off grid yet, but considering it or interested in it. So anyway, folks, we'll catch you on the next one.